I said, Mommy, I was excited. I said, Oyibo has come to our house. Come to see you. So he said, okay, let him in. But this is past official hour. Why is he coming at this time? So anyway, let me listen to him. So he brought his papers, brought everything. They were talking. And after a while, I heard my mother shout, hey, get out, stupid, Nip Konku, get out of my house, get out, get out, get out. So this guy packed his files, eyes red, ears red, running out. I said, Mommy, what is the problem? Don't mind the man. He wanted to bribe me. How can he bribe me? Stupid man, foolish man. I'm driving him out of the place. He should get out of Africa, get out of Nigeria. I said, Mommy, what is the problem? What did he offer you? Stupid man. Offered me a house in Italy. Offered me foreign bank account. Even the car he brought, he was ready to leave it so that we could have this. I said, Mommy, why didn't you take it? He said, you are the man out of my house. But today the story is different. Almost every person in leadership in Nigeria is corrupt. Almost every person in leadership in Nigeria is corrupt. Okay? What are the ways forward? And I'll do that in the next 5 minutes and I'll be out of here. Number one, we need to challenge our leadership and act as a pressure point and a voice of reasoning. We need to challenge our leadership and act as a pressure point, as a voice of reasoning. Leadership will be picked from the stock of the followers that are available. A nation's government can only be as good and as strong as the citizens. Wole Soyinka wrote in prison, he says, the man dies in the face of tyranny. A lot of us do not challenge our leadership. There's too much psychophancy in Nigeria. There's too much follow leadership in Nigeria. There's too much desire for power and ready to do anything in power. A friend of mine used to be in government, and he was on a committee that there was an ultimate president, an ultimate head of state, who was very, very powerful, and he used to wear dark glasses in those days. You couldn't challenge him. He spoke with authority, and everybody was afraid of him. So he set up this committee to investigate whether we should import or manufacture something in Nigeria. So everybody sat on that committee, and they knew that this thing should be manufactured in Nigeria because all the raw materials were in Nigeria, everything was in Nigeria, and the best thing was to manufacture it in Nigeria. But they knew that it was easier to make money if you issued an importation contract, and some of them suspected that the president was ready to get involved, issue the importation contracts, and make some money for himself and his family. But they gathered together in this committee, endless committees that we form in Nigeria that are really going nowhere. And they began to debate. And he, my friend, said, it is sensible and logical to do this thing in Nigeria. All the raw materials are here. A lot of people were saying, no, import them, import it, it's better, it saves less trouble, there's this and that, let's just import and go away. So they brought themselves before the president, and they were sensing the way the president was thinking. So the president stood up and said, you know, I have heard your debates. I think that it is best to import this thing. Okay, let me hear your opinions, okay? And then everybody began to speak. Hey, what do you think? The first one said, oh, Mr. President, you are right, sir. You must be right. You are very right. So the second person spoke, President, you are right. Oh, you are right. You are ultimately right. The third one spoke, President, you are right. You are very, very right. The fourth one spoke, President, you are right. You are very right. Then the man who had been criticizing the thing, who felt that, no, you must do it in Nigeria, didn't know what to say. He said, hey, President, you are right also. He said, even if you are wrong, President, you are right. Number two, we need a new set of leaders in Africa. A new group of leaders, like the people who grew up and set Singapore apart. People who are like philosopher kings, who, as Plato described them in his dialogue. People who are ready to take hold of leadership of Nigeria. And that is why you people have all come to Platform. I can see a new leader in you. 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 A new set of leaders that are right thinking, who have the right kind of mind, who are ready to sacrifice for the good and the well-being of Nigeria, who are ready to sacrifice for what we call the common good. You see, one of the challenges of Nigeria is that nobody loves Nigeria enough to give their lives for Nigeria. The Bible says that for God so loved the world that he gave himself. He gave his only begotten Son so that the world through him may live and not perish. He says, no greater love does a man have than for him to give his life for his friends. There's nobody ready to give their lives for Nigeria. There's nobody ready to pay the ultimate price. There's nobody ready to lay down their lives so that Nigeria may thrive. The reason why Nelson Mandela is so popular today was that he gave up his life for South Africa. Is there anybody here ready to give up their lives for Nigeria? Ready to make sure that Nigeria changes? Ready to do anything and come out of their comfort zone to make sure that there's a transformation in this nation? Is there anybody ready to put their lives on hold so that there may be a betterment for everybody? We need a new set of leaders with the right kind of thinking, with the right kind of attitude, who will say no to corruption, no to stealing, no to all these negative attitudes, who will say we want a better Nigeria and we want Nigeria to be better. Number 3, we need to protect the current democracy. Whatever it costs us, we must protect the current democracy. All of you must go out to register to vote. All of you must go out to vote. All of you must stay at the polling vote and protect your vote and make sure that nobody rigs that vote. Okay, we may not get it right the first time, but I can assure you that by the second time, we will get it right. If we not get it right the second time, but I can assure you that by the third time, we will get it right. We must protect this democracy because it is easier to live within a democracy than through a military rule. We must re-educate and reorientate our citizenry. This is part of why we've come here. We must get our people to think differently and to think in different ways. We must engender a new mindset that will lead to the transformation of Nigeria. We must bring about a new value system that knows right from wrong and wrong from right and knows the appropriate thing to do, and let everybody set about that way of thinking and go about that way. If we do not have a new set of right-thinking leaders with the right values and appropriate vision, African emancipation might remain a challenge or a mirage. And I was trying to share with Pastor Poju earlier on, the church also has a role to play. The church also has a role to play. There must be a uniting of the church under a common purpose, a uniting of the church under a common purpose. You know, because 2 Kings chapter 13, when the leader of Israel, Joash, went to Elisha, he needed a problem solved, a national problem solved. It was the church that had the solution. We need good leaders in church who can hear from God and speak to our leaders that thus saith the Lord. And this is the way God is saying that Nigeria must go. We must be able to speak the truth to leadership. So the church must come together. The church must unite. The church must stand firm and say, this is the way that Nigeria must go. This is the way that Nigeria should be directed. Let me tell you one thing, that if the church comes together, there's nothing, like Obama said, that can stand against a force of people who are calling for change. He says this is the thing that we believe in. So if we all stand together and call for change, there will be change. Then after that, all the things like resource mobilization, eradication of greed and corruption, strengthening of the judiciary and institutions, fast-tracking development through the use of science and technology, all those come about only if you have a great set of rulers who are ready to do the thing that Nigeria should do. So we must begin to look from within ourselves for people who are willing to take on this mantle of leadership. We must begin to groom them, we must begin to inculcate in them the sense of discipline, the sense of direction, the sense of well-being that Nigeria should have. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, it does not take rocket science to transform Nigeria. All it needs is you and you and you to be competent, passionate, and dedicated to the cause of Nigeria, to love Nigeria, to be determined to stand for Nigeria, and to be determined to stand against the forces of evil in Nigeria. A friend of mine was saying a few months ago, that it's not a big deal to transform Nigeria. You need only 7 people to transform Nigeria. Only 7 people. He says 3 of them are elected.